Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. So for those of you still coming into the room, feel free to grab some coffee and tea and have a seat at a table where there's some other people, because we're going to be doing some activities this afternoon. So one of the things that, as I was walking into the room, is that I was thinking to myself how lucky I am, because not only am I on the last day of the conference here, when perhaps you feel you've heard it all by now, last afternoon, but also just before lunchtime. So that doesn't help matters very much. So I'm going to keep you engaged. We're going to do some activities, and my promise to you is that I'm going to keep it energetic and interesting, and I'd like you to promise me that you're going to participate. So first thing I'll do is I'm going to run through about 10 slides. I'm going to keep it short, and then we've got a bunch of people helping out here. We've got 2 activities that we're going to do, because this is about hands-on learning. So I'm showing you this photograph of a plant here because I think that plants and flowers are just a wonderful metaphor for growing an entrepreneur. So there are a couple reasons for that. One reason is, of course, the diversity of plants and flowers that are out there. And there's such a diversity of entrepreneurs as well. And the other thing is what it takes to actually grow something. So it takes action, right? We can't do it with words or with thoughts. It takes action. So first thing I'd like to ask is, who in this room identifies themselves as either an entrepreneur or somebody who's very entrepreneurial? And if you wouldn't mind, just stand up for a moment. Please, don't be shy. So if you're an entrepreneur or you consider yourself entrepreneurial, this is wonderful. All right, stay standing for a moment. Stay standing for a moment, because whether you're standing or sitting, I want you to look around the room, and I want you to notice the diversity of all of our entrepreneurs and entrepreneurial-minded people. So I don't see 2 identical people here, right? I mean, I guess unless there are some identical twins in the audience, but that's probably not the case. We have people of different ages, shapes, sizes, genders, experience, education, contacts, financial resources. Not one of you is alike. Please, have a seat. Thank you. So just like this plant here, entrepreneurship is a really big, diverse thing. It's hard to pin down. You can't just look at someone. It's not like a construction worker carrying a toolkit and knowing that that person's a construction worker. You can't just look at someone and identify them as an entrepreneur. The other thing is, and this rose comes to us thanks to the 4 seasons here, is that rather than looking at a photograph of a plant, to look at a real flower. So it's authentic, it's beautiful, it's unique. And what did it take to grow this, right? I couldn't do it with my mind. I can't do it with my words. Somebody had to find the land, provide the soil, plant the seeds. Somebody had to nurture this, water it, and allow it to grow. And that's what entrepreneurship is about. And that's why today, whereas my colleagues from Babson yesterday spoke to you about the entrepreneurial method, today we're going to talk about how it is we actually teach the entrepreneurial method. And we're going to do it in a very condensed version. We're going to take maybe a semester's worth of activities and condense it into 2 20-minute activities. So as I said, entrepreneurs come in many shapes, colors, sizes. Entrepreneurship is a very, very diverse thing. However, what we're going to do is, instead of talking about entrepreneurs, we're actually going to elevate the conversation. We're actually going to take it to a different level, and we're going to talk about something slightly different, which is going to make it easier for us to answer the question about how we grow entrepreneurs. And that is, we're going to talk about being entrepreneurial. Because the moment we do that, we shift the equation and we remove the context. So being entrepreneurial is irrespective of context. It happens in the business world, of course, but it also happens in educational institutions. It happens in nonprofits and NGOs. It happens in military, all over the place. In addition, being entrepreneurial is also irrespective of position. It happens at the highest corporate levels. You can have boards of directors that are very entrepreneurial or not. CEOs, managers, employees, consultants, anyone, anywhere can be entrepreneurial. And this is really important because even though many of these people are not entrepreneurs, they're entrepreneurial. And that's a critical distinction. So if we start there, there's one really big implication of this that we've discovered over the past several years, which is that in reality, entrepreneurship is a set of competencies. It's not who you are, it's not in your genes, it's a set of competencies. And once we recognize that entrepreneurship is a set of competencies, we can start to think about what are the commonalities? What are the common themes that we see displayed in the behaviors and the attitudes of all successful entrepreneurs? And sure, there are exceptions, but for the most part, we're able to look, and there are common themes that emerge. I'm going to tell you about 4 competencies. This isn't science. It's part of observational research right now, and we're still collecting data on this, so we might be missing out a few things or be able to bundle some of these together. But let me tell you about the 4 competencies that we've identified. So number 1, and probably the most critical distinction in terms of a competency, a behavior of entrepreneurs, is that which was discussed by Babson's President Schlesinger and Provost Ansari yesterday. And that's the creation mentality. The ability to look at an uncertain world and to recognize that if you can't predict the future, the best course of action is to create it. And there's a methodology for creating it. And it's a cycle. It's an iterative process of acting, learning, and building. And in addition, it was discussed some other concepts relating to that, like affordable loss, where entrepreneurs look at risk in a very different way than most corporations do. Instead of looking at risk as the probability of success or failure, entrepreneurs look at risk as what's the most I have to lose. And that's a crucial distinction. Another competency is influence. Influence is the ability to persuade others, essentially to help you out, one way or another. So whether you're trying to persuade somebody to contribute financial resources, whether you're trying to persuade somebody to join you as a business partner, whether you're trying to persuade a supplier to perhaps reduce costs, whatever the case might be, as business people, as entrepreneurs, this behavior of influence is absolutely crucial. Because if you can't influence others, you can't aggregate and ultimately create value. And that's the ultimate role of an entrepreneur. I'll mention 2 other things. There's mechanics, and what I mean by mechanics are actually the traditional business disciplines. So you can use creation and you can use influence to get that first check, to sell that first product. But then what do you do with it? Well, you got to figure it out. So that's where mechanics comes in. It's things like accounting. Once you get the money starts flowing in, you got to figure out what to do with it, how to track it. It's finance, it's marketing, it's management. It's all the traditional business disciplines. So just like an automobile, just like any other mechanical system, it's got certain ways that work pretty predictably, that are time-tested, and these are some of the methodologies that are taught in traditional programs, business programs, MBA programs. Then viability, as a last concept, it seems to be a competency that almost all successful entrepreneurs have, which is really an ability to determine priorities. What's important and what's less important, and what's not important at all. And if you're able to go through that, you can come up with a portfolio of opportunities and make the most of them. So if entrepreneurship is really this set of competencies, then we can answer this question. It's pretty straightforward, actually. How do we grow an entrepreneur? We grow an entrepreneur by teaching them, by facilitating learning of the 4 competencies. We teach. We teach creation, we teach influence, mechanics, and viability. And each of these, as I've described them and broken this down, you can imagine that they're very practical things that we can do. And in particular, one of the things, especially that we've done at Babson College, is we focused on hands-on experiential learning. So forget the textbooks, forget all the journal readings. Maybe don't forget them. They come in handy. But nevertheless, we really focus on things like real-world experiences. So we get our students to get a product and actually go out and sell the product. See what people say. Sell it to strangers, people you don't know. Get out of the bubble. We use simulations. When I get back on Thursday, I'll be using actually a simulation of climbing Mount Everest with my students. And it teaches a lot about team interactions and leadership. And in particular, the most versatile of these, because it's really easy to do, and it's what we're going to do today, are games. So, are you ready to play? I can't hear you. Excellent. All right, game number 1. Has anybody seen this before? Yeah. All right, my favorite toy. So, Legos. What we're going to do is a Lego activity. Now, hidden in the middle of your tables, I don't know if anybody's discovered this, but if you move the candies, there's a bowl with some Legos in them. Now, don't play with them. Here's what we're going to do. There are also some pieces of paper at the backs of each of your pads. So go search those out. Well, the Experience team did a great job of hiding all of these, so very impressive. So take your piece of paper out. Don't look at your neighbor's piece of paper. That's cheating. You'll be thrown out, no lunch. Take a look at your piece of paper, and what you're going to find is that you're either part of a P team or a C team. And what I'd like you to do is take a moment now and read through the instructions, and what you'll find is if you're at a table of 8, 4 of you are P's and 4 of you are C's, and you're sitting next to one another. If you're at a table of 6, there are a few tables of 6 back here, 3 of you are P's and 3 of you are C's. If there's fewer than the maximum number at the table, try to break it up so that you have 2 and 2. You can tell each other what you are, just don't share the instructions. All right, so take a moment and read the instructions. And figure out who is on your team as well. If anybody needs more copies, raise your hand. Okay. Oh, goodness, all right. We have one table here that needs both P and C copies. Okay, great. All right, they're coming. You'll be able to catch up very quickly. I know it's a very smart table. All right, now feel free, if you're on a P team, to discuss the directions with any of your P teammates. And if you're on a C team, feel free to discuss the instructions with C teammates. All right, but the gist of it is that one team, it's the C team, goes first. And the C team gets to pick one piece out of the bowl. And then the P team picks their piece. And you go back and forth. You're not allowed to trade pieces. And what this represents is a market. So basically, there are fixed resources in the world, a bunch of Lego pieces in your bowl, and you're going to pick them out, one team after the other, taking turns, and you're going to see if you can do what is specified on each of your respective papers. And if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand. So a number of us in the room are familiar with this activity, and we're happy to help out. And don't let the other team hear what your instructions are. All right, so here's what we can do. As soon as you're ready, get going. Pick your first piece, C teams. Okay, so hopefully try to move, let's wrap up this round because we're going to do something different next, okay? So wrap up what you've got. I know there was some confusion, and I apologize for that. So I hope that a couple of teams were able to make the most of it. And you will have a second chance, so don't worry, okay? We're going to act and learn and build. So you're going to have another opportunity to do this better the next time. All right, so hold up your cards. Let's see what everybody has, or has so far. All right, so these folks over here have a perfect car. Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, sort of. So what do you notice about this? Okay. All right, so let me ask this question. C teams, how do you feel? What was that, great? Just great? And P teams? How do you feel, P teams? What was that? They have a tire missing. Does anybody have any other parts missing? Did all of the, oh, so you have a tire missing. So you couldn't be very happy about that. How do you like to sell a car without a tire? What do? You give it to the customer and you say, go get your own tire? They took it away. Did that happen to anybody else on the P teams? So how many P teams did not complete their design? Be honest. Okay. Now what we're going to do is switch pieces of paper. All right? So everybody was on the P team and has a piece of paper with a P on it. Give it to somebody who has a piece of paper with a C on it, and vice versa. All right. Take your cars apart and put the pieces back in the bowl. You don't have to pull the tires and the rims apart. That's a little difficult. If you're ambitious, you can do it, but otherwise just pull the tires off and put them back in the bowl. And then as soon as you've done that, as soon as you've taken your contraptions apart and put them back in the bowl, let's play a second round. And just be sure you look at your new instructions because they're different from the old instructions. Okay, everybody, so let's wind it down. If you're the P team, hopefully you have your thing built. Well, everybody knows what the P team's instructions are now. So hopefully you've got your car built. And if you're the C team, hopefully you've done something magnificent. So if you're done, hold up your cars. Let's see what we've got. All right, you're missing a wheel again. Well, you can make it like a tricycle or something. Let's see, everybody else. If you're done, hold it up. All right, so we're going to get some microphones, and I want to quickly get your impressions. Is it complete? Nice. Very nice. So let's get some microphones out, and I want to first ask people who were on the P, well, what your thoughts were about the P, or predictive experience. And we're going to go over this in a moment. But when you were doing on the P team, how did you feel? Who'd like to speak up? Come on. How did you feel when you were on the P team? Somebody raise their hand. We got a mic. All right, this gentleman here.
I would say clarity, because we had the instructions and we have the photos of the car.
Clarity, excellent. So somebody handed you a specification, an architectural design, an engineering plan, and basically you knew what to build, right? Now, I'm not going to ask you any more questions because you actually built it. So, Who else? Please.
My adrenaline levels were very low because I was relaxed, not worried.
Your enthusiasm level?
No,
Or-
I was relaxed. I wasn't worried.
Ah, okay.
And I was saying my adrenaline level were very low. It wasn't challenging.
Okay.
And I don't know what other word could be than
Were-
boring.
Were you able to build the car?
Yes, on the P team, yes.
Great, okay. All right, who else? Let's see, microphone. Here we go.
I was completely frustrated.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
because there is no alternative for creation, to be creative, to run over the obstacles and the restrictions. There were limited tires. And our colleagues, because they were P team in the beginning, the first thing they took and the second time was the tires. So we
Exactly. I was waiting for somebody to say that. So
it's frustrating. We could not be even
it says
creative.
a lot about your friends here. That they should take the tires first and leave you hanging. So it's
Yeah.
all right. Well, you guys can have a discussion about that later. So how about on this side, please? Oh.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, go ahead, and then we'll come up here.
So I felt there is a battle about the tires, who will choose the tire first. I'm from P team. But my thinking goes to my to innovate something. I don't think someone will buy this, but it's with 3 tires. So what is your comment?
So there you have it. So did that frustrate you to not be able to complete it? It's a little frustrating. So one more comment up here. So, and then one
when
more.
we were the P team, we were very excited and we did it very quickly and obviously we did it perfectly
Okay.
except for the color. There were
Wait,
pieces
except for?
for the color. because
Oh, but that's important.
yeah, I know. There were pieces of information, I think, versus
Okay.
the other team, which we didn't realize we were missing. But like, for example, the number of tires which are available,
Right.
that they're not enough, that the green versus, I mean, they took the green, but they didn't have that.
Was that the
information.
first piece that they took?
Yeah, but
Very smart.
so, but they didn't know.
Okay.
But they picked it up the second time, and they took it the first time.
So it's really interesting what's happening here. You know, like, so what you're discovering in this simple game is that very quickly through this action and learning and building, very quickly you learned a strategy in this process, right? And that was to take a mission critical piece from your component during the second round, if you were the creative, the C team. So what else? We have one last comment, and then I want to get your impressions about being on the C team.
When we were in the B team, we stick with the old design, but with the team participation, we made an innovation and a car with the
On the P team or the C team?
No, when we were in the B team,
Okay.
we did it quickly.
Okay.
When we are in the C team, we will
Right.
stick on the old design of the B team. But with the team participation and thinking, we innovated a new car with the hard wheel
Okay.
and heavy duty.
I like
and
it.
The most important, it is working.
Very nice.
And driving.
And at least it has 4 wheels, right?
Yes, yes,
Oh.
yes.
So how did that make you feel? How did it feel to be on the C team? Who felt better to be on the C team? Who felt more empowered, more creative? Who thought it was more fun? So universally, when we do this activity, being creative, and I have to say that when I do this normally at Babson College and with students, we do it with bigger Lego kits, and we do it over the course of about 2 hours. So this is a very condensed version of this. And so you might not have gotten the full effect, but what happens universally is that when people are creative, when they're empowered, when they're able to come up with their own designs and possibilities and to maneuver around obstacles, like a piece that they wanted last turn that disappears. It's not there the next term. It's really easy when you're being creative to allow a new goal to emerge, to pick something else. This is exactly what President Schlesinger talked about yesterday when he gave his talk. This is creation. On the other hand, the P stands for prediction. So in this instance, because you are picking the pieces from, let's say, a market space. That market had only so many of each piece, and there were a couple pieces missing, and that was by design. And in that instance, there was uncertainty. And in a situation where there's uncertainty, you can't always predict what's going to happen, by definition. So in that instance, most teams get really frustrated because you end up missing a wheel or having the wrong color, and you can't reach your goal. So let's summarize. With prediction logic, or a goal-driven approach or logic, number one, you have a goal. Number two, you figure out what resources you need to achieve that goal. And finally, number three, you do it, right? So what are the problems with this kind of logic? Well, we've just gone over it. Basically, number one is something I call goal ambiguity. So a lot of times we have goals that aren't really our goals. And that causes a lot of pain and frustration. So I was out to dinner 2 nights ago, and somebody on the roads, I was asking about automobiles here in Riyadh. And there were a lot of Toyotas and Fords on the road. And we've got the Porsche and the Bentley here. And this is an example of goal ambiguity, because somebody might say, I'd like the Porsche, right? Like, I aspire to that, all right? Just this material goal. But then when I was talking with this individual, he mentioned to me that a lot of people who buy fancy cars that aren't very common, if something goes wrong, it's much harder to find parts. So is your goal really to have a reliable automobile that can get you around comfortably and safely, or is it to have something that has other attributes, it's fancier and all the rest, but might break down and might sit around for a week or two while somebody's waiting to receive parts and fix it? So my point is that we do this all the time. We do this, I hear this all the time. It's when students saying, I want to go to college or graduate school. Well, that's not really a goal. And so there are problems with that, because you don't really mean any college or any graduate program. Same thing with entrepreneurs. Every so often, you still hear somebody say, I want to make lots of money. What's that mean, right? You don't really want the money. You want perhaps the experiences or the things that can be exchanged for the money. But by framing it as wanting money, it's not really your goal, and it can lead you astray. The second problem with prediction is, of course, that you experience this, is that you don't always have the pieces or the resources to accomplish your goals. This is the biggest hang-up, especially in an unpredictable world, because resources disappear. Markets shift, customers go away, competitors come out with technologies that you weren't aware of 3 months ago. All kinds of things happen. And in an unpredictable world, it's this kind of prediction logic is really hard, and ultimately, much of the time, we don't reach our goals. All right, this is the reaction logic using the same example. Actually, it's a pretty poor example for being in the kingdom here, a mountain with snow on it. So I suppose if that guy tried to do that here, he'd learn pretty quickly that that was a bad idea, and he'd, go to Switzerland. But this is reaction. It's a resource-based approach. And as discussed yesterday, it's, what do you have? What knowledge do you have? What contacts do you have? What financial resources do you have? What experience do you have? What have you got? Do something with it, take action, and goals will naturally emerge. All right, so I hope that the Lego activity was enjoyable. It was really, again, a very condensed version to demonstrate this principle of reaction versus prediction and the things that can go right or wrong. And hopefully, feel free, whoever was the team leader, to take the Legos home and share this with somebody. All right, let's move on to game 2. Are you ready for another game? All right. So we've got our volunteers, some people handing out something for game 2. And what I'm going to do while they're handing it, I'll explain it because it's a lot simpler. So with game 2, what we're going to do is we're going to take about 15 to 20 minutes maximum. Actually, let's take about, you guys can do this in 10 minutes. All right. What you're going to do is you're going to get a piece of paper. It's got printing on both sides. One side is the instructions, pretty simple. And the back side of the piece of paper is a framework. It's from Robert Cialdini's book called Harnessing the Science of Persuasion. And in this book, he lays out this article actually, he lays out 6 principles for effective persuasion. What I want somebody to do, who's a fearless volunteer at each table? We need one person at each table because you see this bottle of water up here? All right, one person at each table is going to pick up the bottle that's in front of them, and you're going to try to sell it to the other members of your table. You're all one team, okay? There's no competition here. You're going to help each other out. Try to sell that bottle of water to other members of the table, okay? You try to be as convincing as you can to persuade others that they really want that bottle, okay? So give it a try. All right, I'll tell you what. If you're, wrap up your initial pitch, because here's what we're going to do. So everybody wrap up your initial pitch, and for the rest of the time, for another, let's say for 5 or 6 minutes, we're going to do this quickly so we have time for, I want to bring a few people up on stage to give their pitches. So for 5 or 6 minutes, everybody else at the table who heard the pitch, help the person who made the pitch use as many of the 6 principles that are on the back as possible. All right? All right. So just for the sake of time, and again, I apologize because we normally do these kinds of activities over a much longer period of time. But I just want to give everybody a taste of it to see what it's like. So let's do this. What I'd like to have are 3 volunteers. Great. Wow, now that's enthusiasm. All right, just come on up. All right, so do we have, please, let's do it. All right, if these are really quick, come on up. I think we have time. We'll make time. All right. Feel free to come on stage. All right, so, and actually I just wanted to show you, one of the tables handed this to me. Look at that. I'm not sure it's 100% within the rules, but I thought that was very clever. So, creation in action. That's awesome. All right, who wants to go first? Here's a microphone. All right, testing. Oh, you got it?
Yeah, I think it's
You're
right.
next.
So, actually, we've been brainstorming together.
Okay.
We were trying to make it a unique product. We know all people have a bottle of water.
Speak to the audience.
So
they're yours.
everybody here have a bottle of water, so we were trying to make it unique. To make it unique, this is the only bottle of water signed by the president of Babson College.
Woo! All right.
Number two, because it's signed by the president of Babson College, we're not going to sell it with 1 real. We will charge a premium for it. But we will not fix the price. We will open like Mazad. 10% of the income from the sales of this bottle of water will go to a fund that supports entrepreneurs in Saudi Arabia. Last thing from the culture and from the religion, this bottle of water, magri fiha. So that.
All right. Hey, let's do it. Do we have any bidders? Is this for real?
Anybody interested to buy?
Who wants to buy it? Do we have any starting bids? What do we got? $100,000. Are you for real? All right. Thank you very much. That was fantastic. How about one of them, please?
Hello, good afternoon. Today I would like to introduce a new bottle of water, which is designed specifically for ladies for easy to use, for easy to hold in their bags. And the quantity is really enough for an adult to drink it once or keep it for later use. We designed the bottle for you to be easy to open, so you don't need to ask your husband to open it for you. And at the same time, we use a material that is easy to recycle. You can refill it, you can put it in your bag and use it anytime you need. And it's not big, so it's heavy in your bag. The price is still the same, so we improve the product, but we keep the price for you the same. And it's very important for your health. You need the water all the day to be able to maintain your weight. So ladies, make sure to have it in your bottle. Thank you.
Thank you. That's great. All right.
Assalamu alaikum. Now, this is a small Nova bottle. I'm trying, what we want to do at our table is increase the price a bit. So instead of half a riyal, we're going to sell it for 1 riyal. Why do we have this increase? Because we want to encourage some sort of a cooperation between us, the producers, and you, the buyers. What we want you to do, one very simple thing, we want to elevate the culture of recycling. So what you have to do, just dispose the plastic in a recyclable bag, recyclable trash, that's all. What we will do for your increase of money is that we will give 20 to 30% of what you paid to charity. We'd like to go to the basics and try to help our brothers and sisters in need. We will donate that amount of money to an autism organization. This is why I believe you should buy our water. First of all, for you, doctors estimate that you need 6 to 8 glasses of water a day. This is almost 1 glass of water with a bonus extra. So buy it for you. Buy it to help needing brothers and sisters and help elevate the culture of recycling, not only recycle. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Actually, if the speakers come on back up, stay up here. Please.
Yes, the last is always the best, isn't it?
Yeah. Here, have a seat.
Okay, we've got an amazing product here. It truly is amazing. We live up to the logo. It's green. We are green. The sodium in the water is completely balanced. It's so balanced, you could give it to your baby. That's how healthy it is. Plus, that this bottle is recyclable by the International World Health Organization. If you look at the back, you will see the recycle. And number 1, which means the thickness of this bottle is thick and you could drink it over and over. It's been rated by the society, number 1. And you know what? We employ underprivileged women in our country, 100% employment. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please stay up here. So, as you can see, that was fantastic. Such a diversity of ideas and presentations. So this is influence. This is persuasion, right? There's no one way to do it. We had liking, we have reciprocity, social proof, scarcity. Fantastic. So, again, this was another lesson. And, you know, in any entrepreneurial venture, one of the first things that all of us learn as entrepreneurs is that rarely is anything done ourselves. It's a team effort. And oftentimes it's even more than that, right? It's a community effort. It's a national effort, international. So there are 2 ways to get things done. Obviously, you can do some things yourself, but especially when we're thinking about entrepreneurship and ventures, you need other people, and you have to bring them along. So you have to influence them. You have to be likable. Who would want to work with a partner that was miserable and wasn't likable? Who would who would not desire something that is rare, perhaps? Diamonds, I don't know. So, you know, there are markets and products and the success of ventures that is premised not only on creation, but also on the ability to influence others. And so, again, this was a very brief activity. You guys did a brilliant job in such a short period of time, and I heard lots of other wonderful ideas. But my purpose is not to teach necessarily creation or influence, but really to show you some of the methodologies that are used. And this is a really important piece of it. So let me summarize, and we'll get to lunch a little bit early. We started by asking ourselves the question, how do we grow an entrepreneur? And this is a really important question, because if entrepreneurship is a driver of social and economic well-being, then we need entrepreneurs. We need people being entrepreneurial in our society. And those people, again, can be anybody. We work with senior executives at Babson College coming to our executive education program. We obviously teach undergraduates and MBA students. And many of our students, and also me, we go out into the community and work with young people. So number one is about being entrepreneurial. And as we've seen, being entrepreneurial, these competencies that define what that means, they can be taught and they can be learned. So you've just got a glimpse of that in a very short period of time. But imagine what we could do together over the period of a day or weeks or months, semesters, degree programs. So this is what we do. And we do it by, as I mentioned before, games, simulations, and especially real-life experience. There's nothing better than that. There's nothing better than just going out and doing something, whether we're out in the real world ourselves or whether we're a student. It's the most crucial way to learn all of this. So again, we wanted to share with you some of the techniques that have been developed at Babson College for actually teaching people how to be entrepreneurial. And we've only focused on 2 very small exercises relative to creation and influence. And you know, if anybody has any interest, you know, please be in touch with us. I'm going to leave some business cards up here. I'm happy to share additional activities that you can share with your partners, your board of directors, your employees, your children. I want to thank these 4 wonderful people here. So you did a brilliant job. And hang out for a second. So I have a few gifts for you. So please. Thank you. So we really appreciate it. It's I had a lot of time to prepare. I have one more. Okay. I had a lot of time to obviously prepare for this. Yes, I have another one, so I'll grab it in a moment.
Probably be really good, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, it's the best one. Actually, you know what? As a bonus, since you're waiting, I thought I actually might have to lure people up on stage, so I was ready for a little reciprocity and scarcity. I had 1 chocolate bar to give out, so see, this man's always negotiating.
This is something I can't share with my team. This is I cannot.
Ah, I see. But you were the brave one to come up here. So I'll tell you what, I'll get you another chocolate bar. All right, thank you so much. This has been wonderful. I hope you've enjoyed yourselves. And I think it's time for lunch. Thank you. Thanks.